Dum 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 dum.
Bum 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 bum. Hi.
Good morning, Chetna.
You mean good afternoon.
Good morning for me.
And afternoon for
Late afternoon
me.
for you.
No, early afternoon. Like 1 o'clock. What's the time right now?
Close to 10.
Yeah, so I've been up for 7.5 hours.
It's a lot of hours. Yeah, so
Anyway,
it's mid afternoon.
what's up?
That's an interesting thing to talk about.
What
The
is?
ease with which you wake up and do your work. And that's a big, like, transformation I've seen in you.
Yeah, it is a big transformation. Quite a big. I used to not like to.
I think there was one principle like you had about like you had 4 or 5 principles that were very, very evident in your life. And one of them was I would never work on Saturdays. Like
Yeah.
you would repeat that like endlessly. If you ever saw me like talk of reference even work on a Saturday, like the disgust that would come in your
Well, that was a different
mind.
life back then, Pius.
Yeah.
It was the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 lifestyle. So the fact that one had to go to work on a Saturday seemed like one was getting robbed of what one had worked for from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
It just felt deeply unfair.
Like the promise of working those
It's like the
days is
promise of being a Christian is getting heaven, and then, like,
huh.
on the day of your death, you're like, but tomorrow you will go to hell first. Will you like that?
No, you have to stay on earth a little more,
Well, that you,
repent a little
no,
more,
this
and
is
then maybe you'll get it based on
okay.
how you do
Maybe
this.
not, the analogy is not great, but
No,
you
but
know
it's
what
a
I
great
mean.
analogy. My edit to it made it a
Then it
great
doesn't
analogy.
become great anymore. Because, like, it's extra torture is what I'm trying to imply. Earth is still the same.
Yeah,
Like, I'd rather, like, staying on Earth is like, instead of 9 to 5, you make my job 9 to 6. But don't make me specially come on a Saturday.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it isn't just that. I also saw people waste time
yeah,
during the week a lot.
yeah,
And I didn't understand the idea of going to work and wasting time.
yeah,
I'm very good at wasting time on my own.
yeah.
I don't need to go to work to do that.
It's like people.
I will waste time in the way I like to waste time.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into a group and waste time in the way the group wants to waste
yeah,
time, right? So that was another issue I had. If we
yeah,
had just worked over the week, we wouldn't have to go on Saturday.
yeah,
But having said that, when there was real work, even back in those days when I was doing event management, and then this is we're talking about the time when I was doing event management, not any other time.
yeah,
I've always been open to working anytime after that. At that time, if there was an actual event, I never thought twice about Sunday, Monday,
yeah.
Saturday.
Huh,
It
that
was
was never
just
a thing.
कि फाकी मारने के लिए I don't want to go to office.
Yeah,
That was my complaint.
yeah,
And waking up for stuff, there was a lot of lifestyle misalignments that were there. Um, this idea that you have to eat so much was one of them. You eat a lot because, well, if they don't tell you that there are 3 meals that you need to eat a day, then how will they sell you a breakfast package, a lunch package, a dinner package, and then over the weekend when you're not working and waking up late, the
buffet.
brunch packet?
Yeah, and brunch.
The the brunch where wink wink you can drink at 11 a.m. So yeah, um, lifestyle, definitely, right? You're eating late dinners, you're working late, you're eating a late dinner, and you're like, oh, my whole day just went doing something that took away my energy and gave me money, which in my logical mind tells me, oh, you should be grateful for it. But energetically, I'm not feeling grateful for it at all. And after you do all of this and you reach home and you eat a late dinner, And then you're like, no, but then at work people were talking about this Netflix movie or this thing, and I also have this family member or this partner that I want to spend time with. Then you have to indulge in all of that. Then you can't wake up on time because you slept at 12, tired and exhausted. Like, tired from having done good work, that's a nice tired. That actually makes you feel happy and soothes you into sleep. It's almost like a cuddle. But exhausted and drained is not a nice feeling.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling you're going to sleep with,
Yeah.
cursing somebody or the other for sure.
Yeah.
Which wasn't my attitude, but in general, this is the vibe I'm understanding. And you wake up, and your first thought is, shit, I'm late. That's literally the first thought most people wake up with most days. That's a shit way to start your day.
Yeah.
Shit, I am late. Like, you're awakening, you're coming alive after a small period of death, how I look at it now. And your first thought is, shit, I'm late. So that's not, I don't know what sort of day follows that feeling.
It's like you, with panic, come out of
Yeah,
your rest state and just you have to
yeah.
run into
And then
something,
you
and your
run.
whole mind runs into that thing, and you're
Yeah.
just, and then you're dragged into it, right?
Then you're dragged into it because you have to
You
go to
drag
work.
yourself into it.
Yeah, man said, no, you've set up that ecosystem. Now the ecosystem drags you in, but you set up the ecosystem
Yeah.
and you are taking benefit from the ecosystem. You're liking the title bump, you're liking the money that comes, you're liking the credit card you can flash, you're liking whatever, the laptop you've been given, or the new clothes you're going to wear to work. Like, if your game is that only, then maybe, I'm not saying then also this, now switching back to what you said, I wake up with ease whenever I want to. Today being 1:30 a.m. is when I woke up, and I did my meditation, etc. By the time I got out of the room, it was 2:30, and I had a call for much later, meaning at 5 o'clock. I had a call, but that person is in Japan, so I texted them and I ended up taking their call, and I was done with all of that by 5:30. Then did something else, which was really recreational and fun for us. Wait, that sounds. We went out for a long drive, and we saw those Saras birds, which a few days ago we had gone to Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary, and people were like, "Oh my God, it's so hard to spot them, so hard to spot them." We just spotted them on a drive, including having spotted them flying on that trip to Bharatpur. Anyway, so you come alive when you sort a few things out in your head about what you really care about. Do you really just care about running in the race that everybody is running? Just because they're running, let me run and be better at it than them,
Mm.
or wherever you place yourself. Or you carve out a niche for yourself saying, you know what, these are my strengths. Uh, this is how I am. This is what feels most authentic to me. And you start to live like that. And it takes a bit of time, not a minute, but a bit of time. But because you also have to get over your old patterns and old ways of being, while continually figuring out a way to empty yourself and not gather new ways of being, so that you can rest and sort of sink into who you naturally are, your natural way of being. And that's when you reach a state where if you want to wake up that day at 1:30, that you can do that with ease. If you want to sleep that night at 7 p.m., you feel very comfortable saying no to some party. You're not so deprived and drained all the time that you feel the need to chase happiness. You're so happy and relaxed at all times that you absolutely do not mind. Rather, you joyously seek out something that can fulfill you.
Mm.
Whether that something is, again, going back to your question, waking up as early as 1:30. I didn't need to wake up. I woke up, but because I'm not drained, I had the awareness to say, अभी नींद नहीं आ रही है तो क्या करोगे लेट के जबरदस्ती बेड में? Get up, do whatever. And Because of that, we were able to carve out the time to go on such a long drive in the
Mm.
morning.
One of the things that helped me a lot in getting easier sleep, just sleeping better, is this realization that when I wake up, then I don't have to force myself back to sleep. Like what I had done inadvertently, or what had happened for me, was that I believed that there was something, there were hours that must be slept, and if I do not sleep those hours, then my day will get ruined later. Like they were, like I made up a cause and effect that will happen if I do not do a certain thing right now. And giving that up, when I would, like, if I woke up at 1:30, I would force myself to sleep till as long as I could. And that trying to force myself to go to sleep was always a uh, it's a tension filled thing, because I don't actually get into that rest. Also, thoughts then become of what is going to happen in the day because I'm not getting rest right now. Um, but now when I wake up, also, if I wake up randomly at some point of time and I see the option of like reading something, going for a walk, just walking around, playing with the cats. They're up at random times. So I've really got that.
So what you've got that, and I've seen you get that. The thing is that that is your manifestation of bad relationship with sleep, or rather
Yeah,
just a bad lifestyle. That
yeah,
may not be other people's manifestation. They may not wake up only like that.
yeah,
That's not the point.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's
no,
your
that's one part of it.
manifestation,
I was
and
just
that's how
taking
you
the,
dealt with your
yeah,
manifestation. But what it is that it comes back to, again, you're not listening to yourself. You're not listening to
mm,
your own requirements.
mm,
Yours means your body, your mind, your emotions, your social requirements also. You're not listening. You're you're a unique individual, but you're trying to live out a life that others are living out. Those others are also like being under stress all the time to live out. So everybody is trying to do something thinking that this is the right thing to do, when everybody can just be doing whatever they feel is the right thing to do, rather than thinking that. That's where that's the comparison quality of human mind is at its peak, and awareness is at its lowest.
yeah,
That's what creates a lot of dukkha, as is said in Buddhism and Hinduism, I guess.
yeah,
But if you are aware of yourself, you will just not want to eat a lot at dinner.
mm,
Um, if you're aware of yourself, if a client is stressing you out, you will have the wherewithal to say, you know what, do I have to take this shit? Or you know what, I do have to take this shit. Let me breathe a little right here.
mm,
Instead of bringing that stress home with you,
mm,
you will have the ability to understand that. See, because why I'm saying, putting it like this now, because you don't have to lead a spiritual life to be happy. Well, you have to lead a spiritual life to be happy, but you have to lead a spiritual life to exist even. It is the lack of having done that that we're even having to have this conversation for.
And what are you calling a spiritual life?
Spirit, and then tool. So spirit, you're not just this body. If you're aware, you will be able to say that with ease. And I'm moving towards, I have acceptance of the entire spectrum of me. That's what spiritual would mean in its true essence. Spiritual does not mean you forget about your material needs and then you just go and do om 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 om, or whatever you think spiritual is, or mala mala, whatever your version of spiritual is. It doesn't mean that. It means you live the entire spectrum and you respect that it is a spectrum rather than a constant idea.
Yeah,
uh, it being you're a spectrum rather than a constant idea, and you serve all of those. You serve the needs of all of those, and you're fulfilled in that sort of a way. You may have a very stressful job. That is not a, you may have a, then it's not, you wouldn't use the word
well,
stressful.
stressful.
You
Yeah,
may have a job that asks a lot from you, but your response to it will be a certain way.
yeah,
Right now you're just reacting.
Yeah.
Right now, you understand that this is my boss and I need this paycheck. So the boss is right.
Mm.
This is my customer and the boss likes the customer. So my customer is right. Now everybody else is right. Then at home, your spouse is right. Then whatever, somebody else is right. And now you're never right and you're never happy. Then you have to eat a lot for dinner because that was your coping mechanism always. Then you have to sleep a lot. Then you have to drink a lot. Whatever a lot you have to do, then you have to do all of that to counter this inauthenticity which you allowed in your own life, maybe in unawareness. And no, it's not your fault. uh, that's the trend right now.
That's the whole environment that
Yes,
you
but
see most people
at
in.
the end you can't blame the environment. It is not your
Yeah.
fault. But if you are realizing, if you are hearing, if your body is manifesting problems in certain ways, now it is your prerogative to decide what you want to do with it. And if at that time also you say no, 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 but I can't let this go, which I have seen people say, मेरे को diabetes है but I love sugar, मेरे को weight control करना है but मैं तो कम खा. At that time also you become the monkey whose hand is stuck in the jar and will still not let go of the candy. Then I'm sorry, then it is your fault. But it doesn't affect, I mean, it affects your circle of people that are around you, but it doesn't affect me. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, everyone lives their own lives,
Yeah.
makes their own
Creates
choices.
their own lives and lives it and
Yeah.
experiences it. And if you are able to accept this, you live a better, happier, healthier, easier life. Like, I have a couple of more sessions to do, and after that, I have something in the afternoon and evening. So if I want to sleep, if I feel tired, if I feel lazy, I can lounge around, I can go to sleep. Oh, but you do your own work, we do a job. Okay, you have your own workarounds to that you can do. If you first begin to take ownership, you will find those workarounds.
Yeah.
Even though this is my business, I didn't have to proactively do a session earlier that already had a scheduled time for later in the
Yeah.
day. I did that in consideration of the other being, saying that I'm up, and if they want to do an early morning session, which was anyway more convenient for them, but I said, oh, I'm not going to do a session at 2 a.m. But then I ended up being available. That is the reason why I did it. That sort of lightness and willingness to help another being also comes from then first having been aware of your own needs.
Yeah.
Meaning that all, and going back to the needing, no, I haven't finished certain amount of hours of sleep. That again, who told you that you need a certain number of hours of sleep? That's the doctor, the mattress company telling you. You need to eat 3 times a day. That's Zomato, whatever, not Zomato, but food business telling you.
Yeah.
Like Xerox, photocopy became Xerox, food business is becoming Zomato in my head. And that's, I don't mean it as a compliment, but it may be taken as one. Somebody is telling you how you should be. That never sat well with me. It never made sense to me. There was one time somebody told me Kajal doesn't look good on you, and I told them Kajal doesn't look good on you immediately. And they said, no, it looks really good on me. I said, so either you become a person who decides that I will say for myself, or you become the person who decides that others can say for others. You can't do both. You can't be the judgment on Kajal putting in the world. It doesn't make sense to me. So if you can see me and say it doesn't look good on you, then I can also see you and say, I can have a judgment. Or you say, no, it looks good on me, then I get to say. This is not about Kajal, a human being, or the coal pencil. This is about the discretion of knowing when to listen to who and what.
Yeah.
If you give away that basic discretion, then again, like I said, circle back. It's going to circle back to you. So where you are, okay. But once you gain awareness and you still stay where you are, then also okay. But just know what you're okaying at this point then. Be aware. Again, one message, Pious, one message. Be aware.
Very cool. Nice. There's one thought that came to me while you were saying the last segment, which is there's so much that changes on a day-to-day basis within us, right? Our require If you say you need 7-8 hours of sleep, for example, that's a thing that is there, and you keep measuring yourself against that. Your requirements of sleep are based on what happened in your body in the last day, what you ate, what's the last meal you ate, how exhausted you were from the
But
day
that is
before.
expansive. Where the moon is, how the moon is. The
Yeah.
moon is directly impacting your sleep and sleep cycle. Now that we're talking about all this, yesterday was a total solar eclipse day. I don't know what impact, but that might have had an impact. So just accept that.
So
and
there's
we go
so
ahead.
much stuff that is there, and then you look at an external idea that someone, yes, science does its best to make some sort of guidelines, and guidelines at least help point people in some direction. But when we take them as rules and say that now I need to get 7 hours, and if I do not get 7 hours, then my sleep is bad, that then we are forcing an overall idea on a a body mind that is changing every day, that has a different day every day, that eats different meals, has different reactions to the people they've met, has different physical activity, and your sleep needs change every single
That goes
day,
back to
really.
realizing that you're a spiritual being and not a human, like a physical being.
Yeah.
Right? When you realize you're a spiritual being, you will appreciate the fact that, oh, when I met this person, I felt great. When I met this person, I felt drained.
Yeah.
That's how you'll start to know more and more about yourself. Otherwise, you have this sense of control in your head. Like, there is so much that I didn't say because I was mindful of the time. But control is another reason why, for you, when you were giving your example, that you would wake up and you would force yourself to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And that, when you just gave that up, your life became so much easier,
Yeah.
right? Because you gave up control.
Yeah.
You were trying to somebody said, you believed it, so now you were trying to dictate that 8-hour rule upon yourself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, your acceptance of somebody's story is what creates a problem in your life, not the fact that that story exists out there in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
So you accepted it, and then you started dictating to yourself that, body, you have to sleep, and body's like, how can I sleep, I'm not sleepy, like, that's weird. So, and then that was the clash in
Yeah.
the resistance. And you gave that up. I don't think you wake up in the middle of the night anymore. You actually
No,
sleep
rarely.
through it.
Yeah.
There was just there's always a transition period.
Yeah.
So when you're trying out something new, there'll always be a period of 21 to 48 days, and sometimes maybe even up to a year. I don't know, depending on the habit, depending on the blah, 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 blue, blue. It will have a time gap, but it will work. If you are setting out the intention that I'm going to work with my body, mind, emotion, needs, while also keeping an eye on where I want to go, that's going to work.
Yeah.
It's, you ask any skilled worker, like who works with tools, they'll tell you, or a sports person, it's not necessary, or a musician, it's not necessary that every day they are feeling the same level of greatness. Those days they will rely on the equipment, tool, instrument, and sometimes the instrument is not behaving right. Those days they will rely on their skill. It's like be aware that you can, like, make that switch. I don't know how else to explain it, but there's a good analogy here for later sessions with my clients sometimes. Yeah. So I feel there's a lot, like, unless there's a question, I feel I've said what I want to say.
No, I think you answered whatever question I started.
Yeah.
And it's a good
How much time is
length,
it?
24 minutes.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to end.
Okay.
Bum 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 bum.
That's the
bum,
beginning
bum,
music.
Bum, bum, bum.
We just end suddenly.